Oh, it is a bright one. Really, I'm just recording earlier than I normally do because of the positioning of everything. Obviously, that gets all really bright, but no big deal because I'm not going to be here for that long. We're going to get right into the music section and the movie section because they went on for a good long bit, so we might as well get right to it. We'll have a little more pitter patter up front on the next episode, maybe. But until then, let's get into some music talk. Welcome back, Kelin. Suck my tongue.
Huh?
You hear that Dalai Lama news?
No.
Really? Oh.
No.
Well, this will be a fun little segue before music. So the Dalai Lama had a little boy, like, in his lap at, like, this... It was in front of a bunch of people, so it's not like a hidden camera video or something like that. But he had the little boy on his lap, and he kissed the little boy, and then told him to suck his tongue. You can go look up the video. And it's like, what? Like, and you know, some
greeting.
Yeah, some people they haven't denied it. They say he was maybe I don't even know if they actually made a statement that he was confused. But yeah, it was definitely creepy, and there's all these like memes and videos being made, like of Catholic priests being like, "What are you doing on our turf?" It's like, we're the ones that you suck my tongue, or like all that kind of shit. And anyway, yeah, I highly recommend watching it because it's hot. No, I'm kidding. It's no, it's just fucking like, what in the world? I never would have thought I'd see that.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
Yeah, and you know, I guess it's like he could be senile. Look, I guess when some people go senile, they can get a little
people to suck their tongue.
Well, they can get a little weird with their sexual come-ons. Like they're kind of it's the rewiring or something gets all fucked up. Like,
tickle my earlobe.
I'll leave this person nameless for the sake of, you know, if they probably wouldn't want this information out there. But someone's relative, when they were older, like, was total prude, and then, yeah, would, like, go around the retirement home with her robe open and just be like, "Hey, big boy," like, to the male nurses.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, grandma. But it's like, so I guess it's a thing, but also it's kind of like, it seemed like you asked that boy to suck your tongue really confidently, like you'd done it before.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I just kept seeing all these Dalai Lama jokes everywhere, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I look up the video, I was like, oh, holy shit.
What?
So I did the same thing to Dan when we recorded the movie section. I was like, suck my tongue, Dan. Like,
Huh?
What? Just wanted to see, how...
It's a warm open.
Yeah, how would people react to that if they just got hit with it out of nowhere?
Yeah.
But, anyway, speaking of sucking, let's talk about the new... Okay, hold on.
Oh, which album?
I kid.
I thought you were going to go in. Okay.
One new release we're going to get into is Metallica's new album, but before that, because that's kind of where I think most of our discussion will hang out today, Any other new releases that you checked out or you think are worth recommending?
Um, I listened to a few. Uh, so let's see. This first one that I listened to, I did like it was okay. It wasn't like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Based on what I think, I don't think you would care for it. Like the guy kind of has a weird voice,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe I'm like sometimes I like that. Maybe it could grow on me. I don't know. But they're fruit bats.
Fruit bats.
Yeah, so they're indie folk Americana pop. That's a lot of
Oh.
genres, is what they are listed as. But kind of interesting stuff. Cool music. Just the vocals are a little strange, but not bad.
Could you impersonate the vocals at all, just a little bit?
Kind of. Oh, I don't want to
Is it
even try, but kind of
really
nasally. It's more
tender?
like the nasally indie thing.
Yeah, Maya.
Yeah, yeah,
All
more on
right.
that side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's a lot of stuff I'm not traditionally into,
So that's just my guess.
but it was okay. You recommend
Yeah,
it?
I was liking the music and like how the songs were going. Like the thing that just didn't do it for me was the vocals as much, but I liked everything else. So yeah,
And as we
I'm
all
on it.
know, singer can really make or break a band sometimes.
Yeah, it
Um,
indeed.
did I talk about Fever Ray last time?
I don't think so.
I'll just do a quick little shout out to that. She released a new album called Radical Romantics. And any of that ringing a bell?
No,
This is, let's read her about. Um, so, Fever Ray, have you listened to any Fever Ray albums?
I don't think so.
So, the very first one was pretty successful, I think, probably from an indie direction type successful. So, we're not talking like Taylor Swift, but um, she was a member of The Knife, which is a like kind of experimental psychedelic electronic band from I think it is Sweden, but I need to double check on that. But The Knife was also fairly big in their country of origin, and then played on a bunch of like festivals like Lollapalooza or whatever. And Fever Ray, the first album, do you remember that show Vikings?
Faintly, yeah.
The
Oh yeah, yeah.
people were
I
pretty
remember.
into it when it was out,
Yeah,
and
I
the
remember
intro
that.
song was a Fever Ray song. And so it's kind of at that level. And it's a really great album. The second one is interesting, and I do like it, but it is not the first album by any means. And so this is her third effort. So let me read the about her. The Fever Ray is the solo project of the Knife's Karen Dragier. Fever Ray broadens and deepens the shape-shifting electronic pop of their former group, allowing them to explore different identities and their meanings, even more fully with their music and imagery. On 2009's Fever Ray, Digier's moody character sketches use the icy atmospheres and pitch-shifted vocals they perfected with the Knife in more personal and intimate ways. So
Oh,
I think that is kind of the crux of their sound, is they are this pop electronic outfit, and a lot of their stuff is sort of experimental. But the first record actually kind of reminded me of Donkey Kong country music, like in the best possible way. Like it's very spacey and ethereal, almost like drugged out Enya. And then she
oh,
has a pitch shifted effect on her vocals, so it'll dip way down, and I sound like an old man. It's like she gets really experimental with the pitch shifting of her voice. And I think she does it like as a gender fluidity thing. Like you don't know if you're listening to a female singer or a male singer or whatever.
uh-huh.
It's yeah, it's effective. It's really interesting. But I know that's a long-winded way to get to it, but it's kind of worth explaining because this record she's singing about love through a lot of it. And like but in an interview I read she was discussing how it was love as a concept to like almost like an alien creature who doesn't understand what love is, but is like starting to feel it or experience it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then so that's the best way I can describe the album is it feels like a really danceable 80s type record, but like the record itself got melty and warbled in the car and it's just like it's like very bizarre. Like I'd smoked a little bit of weed, went on my daily walk of about 5 miles, and was listening to it, and it was really nice. It was like late at night, kind of rain, snowing, but it was like not too cold. Perfect for that. So yeah, if you want a weird,
Oh yeah,
ethereal walk around in the dark, check out
nice.
Fever Ray's new
Will do.
album, which is once again Radical Romantics.
Hell yeah.
And watch some of the videos too. Like you should pull up a picture of her right now, or like just on your streaming service or something. Like she does this weird. She looks like Uncle Fester, but with
Uh,
like hot blonde hair, and it's very weird. Anyway, I thought that came out a couple weeks ago, but I was like, oh, I don't think I mentioned it last time.
huh. Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Fester, indeed. That is a good description.
And yeah, I'm gonna find. Do you have any other recommendations?
I've still got a few other ones that I listen
Okay.
to. So,
I'm gonna look up their origin country just to make sure. But what's your
or
next recommend?
next one is a dinner party by the Enigmatic Society.
Hmm.
Wait, no, no, yeah, that's right. No, Enigmatic Society is the name. Dinner Party is the band. I'm not sure which way.
Hmm.
Anyways, it's a bunch of pretty famous jazz musicians: Terrace Martin, Robert Glasper, Kamasi Washington, and the Wonder. It's like
Hmm.
neo soul.
Okay.
So pretty cool. Some like that drunk drumming.
Yeah.
Just that modern stuff.
Can you elaborate
So
on what that is? Drunk drumming.
it's like that, some of those like the chill beats to listen to, and it's
Yeah. Chill hop
like kind of
or
feels like
like
out of time.
lo-fi.
Yeah, but sometimes they don't. Not all lo-fi does it, but some of it does. The beats are kind of like out of time a little bit.
It's
Like
almost
one
like
like the hi-hat's dragging or
so
the
it's a little
snares
off
late.
drunken shuffle.
Yeah, they call it like drunk drum.
Some.
Yeah, that.
All right, so yeah, just
Yeah,
lo-fi, that kind of thing.
yeah,
But Kamasi Washington, he's like a jazz guy, isn't he?
yeah. So's Robert Glasper. They're pretty well-known jazz musicians
So is
doing
this
this
one just a
neo
little
soul.
more is a little more chilled out?
Yeah, definitely. Like they're playing jazzy stuff over just like simple beats, and the chord progressions aren't all crazy. There's like vocals and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
How would you rank that one?
I don't really like neo soul that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's about it is good. It's very good. Like can't say anything bad about the musicianship on it.
Let's try this. So we were going over some of the movies we watched and using Letterboxd. They have the 5-star rating, and then they just have a heart like, did you like it or not? And we were talking about how sometimes a movie's like 1 star because it's terrible. It's like a piece of shit, but you love it, so you like it. Or you can recognize the
uh,
movie's technical ability, and you're like, this is a very well made movie with good actors, but I don't like it.
yeah, it'd be
So,
one of those.
so on that album, it's like this is technically a really good record, but it's maybe not one you like as much personally.
Yeah, it's not my genre as much.
All right.
So,
Which one do you like more, this one or the first one? The I'm
oh,
trying to remember
the
the name.
fruit bats.
Fruit bats. I wanted to
Definitely
say
this one.
I was gonna call them the fruit monkeys for a second.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I'd go with the dinner party for sure.
All right. Cool. Um, I'm very generous with my 5 stars. That was another thing we discussed, which is it's sort of so. Well, Arachnophobia is a 5 star movie to me,
Yeah.
but then so is The Godfather. And you could
Uh huh.
argue that technically Godfather's a way better movie than Arachnophobia, but then it also depends on what you're looking for. So it's like
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a silly, fun, good time with John Goodman and creepy spider. And so that's my
Didn't.
mood. So it's a 5 star, and then oh yeah, Godfather's a 5 star movie too. That sort of thing. So I think it applies to music as well. Um, Fever Ray, I would say, is a 5 star album, and I like it. And
There you go.
it's the thing is electronic music happening outside of the United States right now is so much better to me. I've been trying to kind of pinpoint why. I know one element of it is it's a lot more experimental, and it has like kind of more of the moodiness of like 80s new wave or like 90s alternative. And like in America, it's a lot of clubby, disco-y, auto-tuned pop electronic, if that makes sense. It's just
Yeah.
like it's a little too much of a polish on it, and it's just meant to dance. Like it seems like when it's happening outside of the U.S. these days, there's a little more art to it, a little like darker emotional edge. Which, yeah. Anyway,
Nice.
any other recommendations before we get into the thick of it?
The one that you had mentioned it to me too, but I'd actually already listened to it. The Kid Koala.
Okay. Did you already know about
Uh,
Kid Koala?
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Give
So
me your
I was
thoughts
like,
on that.
hell yeah, cool. I like it. I like turntablism. I think it's badass.
Me
So the
too.
first thing I heard him do was like he played like a record of like somebody singing like Moon River or something and
Mm-hmm.
like scratched it like a jazz
I really like that.
vocalist. Yeah, that's badass. So
Um, yeah, actual scratchers, turntablists, whatever they prefer to be called. I'm not totally sure. Um, I love it. It's one of those things that I wish I had more time to just sit and deep dive into it and research it and just
hmm
totally understand it. Like, what are some of the best scratches out there? What are the best albums? What is it that they're actually doing? The techniques and all that. But it's there's only so much time in a day. It's like hard to
dude,
like sit down and like actually dive into it. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's guys like I think like Bonobo, but I don't even know if Bonobo really does any turntablism anymore. Like but then again, I don't know exactly how they put their records together, and that's part of it. Is every once in a while I'll come across these guys like Kid Koala or Cut Chemist, DJ Shadow, and I see
Uh-huh.
what they do, and the difference between that and just electronic artists like Apex Twin. It's like totally different, and I could see a lot of
hmm
people kind of putting them into the exact same category, and it's like it's kind of like almost a totally different process. Like, and I don't know,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it's its own kind of instrument.
yeah.
Like analog sampling is it's an art for sure.
Did you ever listen to the Avalanches?
No.
I'll have to. Yeah, I'm gonna send you. I've been sending Corey a lot of albums lately. I'm gonna send you and Corey an Avalanche record that's really well done. But it was like, man, I forget the details, so forgive me if I get it wrong, listener, and But they like spent almost like a decade putting a record together of different samples, and like the whole record is just this layered tapestry of samples. And it's like on Reddit, if you go follow the Avalanches, there's people like trying to discover all the samples inside the album. And they're
Huh.
like they're like, "Oh, holy shit, I think I found the sample that was in 3 3 minutes and 58 seconds into track 4." Kind of
Man.
thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's a pretty good documentary I think of them working on their album, and on YouTube. You can just pull it up, but it is fascinating stuff. But also really
Yeah.
great music videos. Um, but sorry, that's a bit of a tangent. But that is why with Kid Koala, I know he's one of the names that I learned early on when I first got curious with the turntabling and all that.
Well, I
And
think you got it right. My buddy that does it a lot says he's seems to be one of the top ones. So,
yeah. So the album, I don't know if we said the title that we're talking about is Creatures of the Late Afternoon.
yeah.
And I'll admit, at the very beginning of it, it's kind of just like bobbing my head along, like, all right, this is fine. It's good. Yeah, it's good. And I'm not totally sure where. I was listening to this once again on my nighttime walk, and I noticed the album slowly building and getting more. I don't know, like I don't know if I want to say more intricate, but it just got more interesting, and it at least emotionally felt more layered. So I don't know if tracks actually got that much more elaborate, but it just really built on itself. And one of the first thoughts that really occurred to me was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's exactly what a DJ album would be. Is this constant slow build and build that it's on, kind of on in the background, but you can dance to it, and it builds up that way. And I don't know, like a whole DJ set live, I imagine probably functions like that a lot more. Like rock and roll, you can kind of punch him in the face, and then here's a ballad, and then another heavy one. Like it doesn't have to rely on getting into a groove pocket as much as perhaps like yeah, DJ sets and electronic albums do. And I was impressed. A lot of new albums these days, I noticed that they taper off. Like you kind of listen to the first couple songs and you're like, those are good, and just somewhere along the line you end up doing something else and don't come back and listen to the second half of the album as much. So I was impressed to have an album that I felt like actually was getting better and better as I listened to it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Indeed.
Yep, it's good stuff.
Um, but I suppose with that, we'll get into the main subject I wanted to discuss, which is Metallica's new album.
Metallica.
Um, this is a good example of a album that, as it starts, I'm like, okay, okay, old man, like you're kind of still doing your thing. Some fun little riffage going on, and then I'm not sure where. It's like I got about track 5 or 6, and I just started to like just stop paying attention to it. I wasn't really thinking about it. And then, oh, the dinner's done. I'm going to eat dinner and I'll turn this off for now. And then I haven't wanted to really throw it back on and finish it.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
know what
think
you
of
mean.
it?
Well, I put it on. I was like, this sounds like Metallica. Like
Yeah.
it didn't even like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like new Metallica. This just sounds like Metallica.
Yeah.
uh, the, I actually listened to it with Carl for a little bit. We were like, yeah, this just sounds like the last album, like pretty much. And I
Mm-hmm.
was listening to it. Now every time I listen to a Metallica album, I focus in on the snare, and I'm like, it's definitely better than Saint Anger, but it still sucks.
Well,
I don't like it, and that's my thing with. And as soon as I notice it, I can't unnotice it, and it was driving me nuts. So I didn't finish it either.
hmm. Well, that was one of the things I wanted to get into. Is it's like, is Metallica just one of those bands that got so famous that it's almost impossible to listen to new material from them? Like I was thinking about it, like I liked the drum sound on this new record, and I was like, yeah, that's a lot better than some of those other Metallica records. But yeah, it's kind of like you zone in right on the snare because of what a meme Saint
Yep.
Anger was. And it's like, and then yeah, it's like you think about the band and you're like, it's hard to like take anything James Hetfield says seriously because there's just this highly publicized history of who this guy is. And I'll readily admit there's James Hetfield at home who those close to him probably know. That's not the guy I'm talking about. I'm talking about the public persona James Hetfield. And as
Yeah.
far as public persona James Hetfield goes, it's like there's this history of just weird, silly, dumb, stupid decisions throughout their career. Same with Lars, of course. Like, just turn off the bass on the entirety of Ride the Lightning, because reasons.
Eh,
And you're just like, what? Like, so they become, like, cartoonishly, like, bumbling, self absorbed assholes. But then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, some of that's unfair, though. Like, I don't know how much you know about their history, but
yeah, very little.
you remember them cutting their hair and what a big deal that was?
Yeah.
Like, that shit's stupid because of fandom. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
It's not
who.
their fault.
Yeah, it's like, who gives a fuck? They're like, it's the 90s and we're getting a little older. Let's switch up our look a little. And they're like, oh, what? You're going to wear designer jeans now? And then they're like, well, they still good musicians. Like, they have money now. You want them to pretend
Oh.
and do dress up and have long, ratty hair. Like, so there is this side to Metallica where it's like, they've been in the thick of it for so long. Like, probably hearing all kinds of insults that it's like, you almost feel a little bad for them. But then again, they're
Hey,
millionaires and they're still making
yeah.
records, so it's like, whatever, boo hoo.
They have people that think they're the best band ever, which I'm like, no. And then the people think they're complete garbage. I'm like, no, they got some okay stuff. They're
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle. It's all good. I will say, more than any other band, as a guitar teacher, I've looked at their tabs a lot. And
yeah,
like, no other band has as many things where, like, I think he like slipped off the neck or something. Like he like kind of just played the string kind of bad. Kind of like missed this note. Like it literally writes it out like slide string off neck so it makes bad noise. Like, like they write in their fuck ups in the tab.
that's funny.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. It's and that's the thing. I think we've discussed. There's songs on Saint Anger that I kind of enjoy, and part of what I enjoy about them is that shitty snare sound. But it's just like the reasoning behind it from Lars, and then when it's on the entire album, it's just like this is ridiculous. And I think they try things like that, but then people hate it, especially their fan base. And so they get like locked into trying to recreate Master of Puppets or something. And so like this new album, 72 Seasons, is a lot like the last few that were all a reaction to Saint Anger being hated. They're like,
uh,
fine, we'll adjust our sound and try to make it sound as much like Masters of Puppets as we can, so you guys won't rip on us so hard. And it's just like, but then again, I guess they did do that one album, Lulu, with Lou Reed.
oh yeah, unforgivable.
That shit was awful, like hilariously awful. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
like they totally outdid Saint Anger with awfulness.
yeah,
And I don't know. I think there's a small part of me that like kind of likes that though. It's just like wow, huge swing and a miss, but they're big enough that that's such a bizarre swing that it's like at least they're sort of playing around with it. I don't know, but at the end of the day, you're like, are you really even thinking about it that hard? And you listen, you go, yeah, yeah. And you're like, I don't. No, I'm not going to name names, but there was a musician that you and I both know that always had a bit of like a tough guy persona.
Yeah.
and and I think his favorite band was Metallica, and
Metallica is so metal. It's in their name.
he came, and he like his decision making as a musician. It seemed like he was just trying to duplicate a lot of what Metallica does. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you got to make it raw and loud. It's metal, right? And you're like, well, yeah, I get what you're saying, raw and loud, but like it needs to sound melodious. It's like
Ride the
melodious. Like,
lightning.
what are you gay? Like, where's my Bud Light? You're like, which is funny because nowadays, but
Yeah.
it's just no, like you're just being a lunkhead. Think harder about your music. It's pretty good. You could do better.
Yeah.
Like I think that they're genuinely like musicians. And they've written some good stuff, but like try harder
Well, they
in
wrote
in
it, and
the in the artful way, not in the like see how widdly I went. It's like that's not what we're asking from you. We want you to keep writing good songs
yeah,
rather
I
than
feel like
just like this jacking off like this riff and then that riff, like yeah, that riff. Like
I feel like Metallica did, and then they're like, "Oh shit, we can't write any other songs," so they've just been writing the same songs over and over again with
perhaps.
different lyrics.
Well, it's a little bit of the ACDC thing.
Yeah.
It's like they can't bust out of it because it's such a distinct thing. But it's like that's kind of why early on, I think a lot of bands we know and love, like their second or third record, they kind of fuck with the formula. So then the audience just is like, oh, well, this band can do anything then. Like, and they will, whether I like it or not's the other question. But, oh, well, they tried something different on that one, so I would assume on the next one they'll try something different, and you get used to it. But if you have like 4 albums in a row that are all this thrash metal thing, then you put out something like Black Album, which really isn't that different to me. It's just, oh, it's a little slower and lower. I could see how
Yeah.
that's like a thing to try. But people are like, ugh, they went pop and bleh. It's like,
Uh,
I think Black Album's the best thing they ever did.
yeah.
And, I know some people would be like, fucking blasphemy is master of puppets or something like that. But it's just like, well, they're all Metallica. Like, calm down. Like, but,
Exactly.
I think, uh, I think that was one other question about it is it's like, do you think that there's any, I mean, there has to be some, just by the nature of things, but how many fans do you think there are of Metallica that learned about them from their first album and they still like all their stuff now? Like they're still alive and 72 seasons, they're like, yep, I'm still on board. Fucking love Metallica. Like, and they liked everything they did.
I think there's a lot.
Really?
Probably most of their fans are that. Yeah.
Because all I ever see or ever read is Metallica fans that love an era, or or at least they came in at a certain point. So it's like there's a shit ton of them that only like the first 4 albums, and then will shit on
Yeah.
anything they do after. Then there's people like me who are a little younger. So as a little kid when Black Album came out, we're a little more ingratiated to it, and that was our first thing we heard was um, Enter Sandman, stuff like that. And then it's like, well, that was good, but then Saint Anger or Load or Reload were kind of stupid, or like whatever. But like, I know people went up to Saint Anger, and then people are like, fuck them, like Saint Anger's terrible, nothing after. It's like I don't know if I've ever met a Metallica fan who likes all their stuff.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Taking into account Saint Anger, you're probably right. That probably does lower the percentage. But I feel like there's a lot of people that probably like that's like the only one. They're like, well, of course that one. But
Well, our one musician buddy, I wonder if we could be like, you fuck with Saint Anger, right? And just I wonder if he does.
Yeah.
Or if he's like, no, it's fucking awful, but all the other ones are amazing. It's like there's just always something like that, and so I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to try to get to the bottom of it, but I just don't know if there is a way to do it. But like, what is it about bands like Metallica? Like, there's a thing that happens where it's like you just can't take them seriously anymore as musicians. It's like something else. They become a spectacle.
Yeah, I think it's just getting too famous. As soon as
Yeah.
you get on like the main, they start getting interviewed by different like news sites and stuff. It's probably just that, you get to a certain level of fame and you're never going to please everybody.
Well, all right. So I'm a little more inclined to listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers, but it was the same thing when we listened to their new record. It's like sometimes you can step out of it and be like, "Oh, that was a really nice bass line right there. Oh, I liked the way the band came together on that. Man, the
Yeah.
singer's annoying."
Did
but,
he
but
just say,
but then every now and again you're like, "Wait a minute, this is just fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers doing Red Hot Chili Peppers. What the fuck am I doing?" Like, I'm listening to something else. And
yeah.
I'm sure it's like people that think Kanye is a genius. And, like,
Oh,
I know you and me really don't like his music, but it's like, I think he's gotten to that point where he's gotten so famous and said so much weird, silly, stupid shit that whether he released something tomorrow that was really good or not, it almost like just wouldn't matter anymore. Because it's like, oh, new music by Kanye, huh? It's like you're just going to be thinking about the Kanye ness rather than anything he
yeah,
did in the studio.
exactly.
Taylor Swift is another example, probably. Like Tay Swift's new album, you're like, okay.
No, thank you. Yep.
And it's just like you wouldn't even think about actually sitting down and trying to analyze the music and be like, this is actually a lot better than the last two, or like.
Ugh.
But it's like, so I know you and me are like that. How much of the population do you think are with us on that? Or do you think it's the majority are like, oh, cool, new Taylor Swift album.
I
Oh,
think it's
cool,
an
new Metallica album.
unfortunate amount.
Do you think
I
it's the
do think
majority?
I do think, at least for Taylor Swift, yeah, probably Metallica too, but yeah, I think it is a too large of a number. I think it's just because we're musicians, we can hear stuff. I often wonder what people hear in music, like what do they
Yeah.
hear when they listen to stuff? Because I'm like, this is like terrible. Why would you ever have this on? You can hear this, right? But they just keep listening. So
Well, and I mean, we're not gonna like try to discover what exactly, but I know that there's stuff I could play for you, and you'd just be like, ugh.
yep.
And but then I'd be like, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool, and then like vice versa, you might show me a bluegrass thing, and I'm just like, no, I don't know, I don't want it, and it's just like it's just it's not what I like, it's not my taste, but like, yeah, it's the thing we talked about. There's people that it's like, what are you buying this because it's a Metallica record and you know the name and you know that a lot of people listen to them, so I should listen too, and then they put it
Yeah.
in and they can't even like, and I'm not saying this like accusatory like music snob, but it's like they literally can't separate the instruments that they're hearing.
No, that's totally a thing. I think a lot of people. That's why people like pop and stuff. And
Well, and I didn't know how to separate out sounds till like about high school.
hmm
And then I had it pointed out to me, and just by watching live performance and doing my own listening and studying, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the bass right there. And oh, that's a sample, and okay, the guitar's doing this then. Oh, it's funny, I thought that sample was the guitar. No, it isn't. Yeah, so
yeah,
it did take time for me to like sort of learn how to do that. But it's like
yep.
it is funny.
Well,
Like people are like, "Oh, that's the bass." You're like, "Yeah." Well, I thought the bass had to go dun 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 dun. It's like, well, that's traditionally its role, but it could do other stuff. So that's why I like a lot of those
Exactly.
music memes where it's just like, oh, the bassist had to sleep with the backyard because the guitarist is sleeping with the lady upstairs.
Eh,
You're just like,
one
all right.
five.
You're like, but on a certain level, you're like, in a lot of really standard bands of like people that start bands because they just want to be in a band, not because they actually had any art that they really felt the urge to create, or they, it's just like, no, I want to be in a band that sounds like fun. We do this covers with my neighbors, and they're all fun little, they're in it for something a little different. And so, okay, the bass is supposed to do this. I watched some YouTube videos. I know what the bass is supposed to do.
Yep.
And then, oh, isn't that funny? Bassist, I have to be that then. And you're like, no. Like,
Yep.
Victor Wooten could, like, mind fuck your entire family. It's just like, don't talk to me about bassists like that. But I know that there is that bassist that's like, oh yeah, you're a bassist. You should sleep outside. It's just like you're not doing
In the
anything new or
doghouse.
creative with it. And
Yep.
so, yeah, it's like I did one interview on this podcast where one of the is Mirna. She was talking to me about how her approach to playing drums was like a little more like an athletic approach. I think I maybe talked to you about that at one point, but it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, huh, no, yeah, like learning how to drum as more of like a athletic thing. Kind of, I get it. I never thought about it like that though, and I would never play drums like that.
No.
I
You have to be athletic to play drums good in a way, but not
sure,
too athletic.
but yeah, it just has me thinking. It's just like what is it that like people want out of their music, and also people that make it, like why are they making it? I think Metallica, they like the show, the atmosphere, the this big grand metal show. And I think
Yep.
the show and touring and that means more to them. And maybe a little bit of the fame. I
Yeah.
and I could be wrong, but I feel like the songwriting is like the secondary thing or the third thing. It's just like, no, it's not really about the songs. It's about what my snare is going to sound like on the new album. And that's going to be a thing. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. But it's like, and we
Yeah.
can't
I just,
begrudge people that are like, hey, I just listen to the stuff that makes me shake my ass, and I go to the Kanye concert because it's these big banging beats and people are having drinks and having fun, and I'm an extrovert. Woohoo! Like, oh, like, yeah.
well, you can do
Meanwhile,
that and listen to good music.
you can, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like, oh, all those things are like, that doesn't matter to me at all. If I go to the Kanye concert, I'm the guy standing in the back, hopefully up in the rafters, arms folded, looking at what he's doing. Like, really? Like that's the next song you're gonna play?
People like this?
Why did they
Yeah.
mix it like this? What the fuck? Like, and yeah, just like, aren't you having fun? Like, why aren't you dancing? I'm like, dancing, like, trying to analyze what this motherfucker's doing.
I'm having a great time. This guy sucks.
Yeah. Well, and it's like similar. Like we went to Meshuggah, and I remember talking to you a little bit about it. Like we were standing there and just kind of arms folded, or just standing there, like, hell yeah, that's a great show.
Yeah, they're tearing it up.
But then there's like part of me, it's just like I don't know how much I feel like I need to go to concerts anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just standing there like analyzing it. It's like, yeah, that sounds great, cool, they rock. Man, I wish I had a table for that. Could have had like a steak and a beer or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, man,
Oh,
and then yeah, you just feel a little bit old. You're like, man, am I being grumpy and all that? But it's kind of like, nah, I've kind of seen behind the door the Wizard of Oz thing, and it's not this incredible show that it was to me when I was a teenager. It's
well,
like I understand it now, so it's like that was great. I'd rather listen to it recorded at home while I hang out in my living room, like play
and
Mario Golf or barbecue or something.
Thanks to technology, you can. One of the last shows I went to was Jimmy Buffett, and our seats sucked. The sound sucked. And I
Yeah.
got home when the whole concert was already posted online, and it sounded amazing.
Yeah, there you go. But I guess there's that kind of a thing too with this new Metallica album. It's like we have Spotify and YouTube and the internet and the chance to try out and sample any heavy music we want. You know, like
Yep.
back in the day, going to the record store is a risk. You're like, I want something heavy. I know I want something heavy. I heard this band is heavy. Do I spend $10 on it? Or 5 or 15, 20? And so then, yeah, a band that has, like, well, a lot of people listen to Metallica, so this must be one, right? And then you buy it and you're like, it's okay, but I only have like 10 CDs. Yeah, I'll keep spinning this one. And then you kind of grow to like it because you only had 10 or 15 CDs. It's like you like make
Yeah.
yourself like it to make it worth it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's just, I'm like, man, like Shockey and I could have like a totally different persona, like with all the vinyl that we got. Like, that could have been that's like a move. Like, it's like, we're the vinyl guys. Like, come to our house and listen to records. And like, that's a way to like maybe pick up a lady or so. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, we could go to their house, smoke a little bit, just any vinyl you can think of, just throw it on. And that's still a
Yeah.
vibe and it's still fun.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
like if we talk to a girl now, it's like, hey, you want to come over to our place, listen to records? She's like, oh, I got Spotify. Say, oh,
Don't you know what a quality Spotify is? You know,
you motherfucker. Yeah, just
record sound quality is so much higher.
you don't understand analog.
Uh,
But it's just like you know, and I guess that's yeah, we're just getting older and technology's getting bigger and faster and harder to keep up with. But yeah, it is. It's just I do think it's attached to the Metallica thing a little bit. It's just like nobody's like meeting the love of their life at the bookstore anymore. Maybe they never did. Maybe that was a '80s movie illusion. But it's just like, no, yeah, I got some spare time. I think I'm gonna go hang out at the bookstore. Perhaps I'll meet a dame. And then, yes, the new Metallica record. I've heard about this in the trades. It's just like, nope, it's just like your social media blows up with Metallica for a couple days. Like, oh, new one out, listen. And you're like, I'm in the middle of shitting. Sure, I'll throw it on right now. Get a
ah,
couple songs in through your shitty cell phone microphone, and you're like, alright,
sad.
got it. And
Yep.
yeah, it is hard for people like us that it's like, I don't think we want to be famous. Like, I'm not going to say that we don't want to be, but it's like, that's not the goal of the music. It's, man, I would love to make a living just doing Gamapa or Fakochka or whatever. And my job is to make a record that you're proud of. That's like a piece of art. And it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just funny. Like you put it out for people, and they're like, "Oh, you're a musician. Gross. No, no."
Nah.
But look at this ceramic thing I made. Oh wow! It's like, but then a real ceramic artist underneath is like, wow, look at this amazing vase I made because I've been studying ceramics for years and I've actually refined. Yeah, nah. I was a little more impressed by the class you took to like make a pot, or it's like these little like wine classes. It's like paint your pet tonight, and
Yep.
somebody will hold up their shitty painting of their dog because they just had fun art night at the winery, and
They were
then
just like, oh, it's so good.
that post will get 72 likes or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, here's this
Oh.
song I worked almost half a year on. I just don't. I think it's a little gross how you're promoting yourself like this. Like,
Oops.
you're like, okay, yeah, sorry to bother you.
uh,
I forgot social media is not for promoting the work you do. I thought it was, but okay.
not at all.
But it's
Ugh.
it's it's the same thing. It's like I know I should try for the sake of culture to uh, keep up with Metallica because it's like it has an effect on such a huge part of the population that I should at least understand it somewhat. But I think I'll keep watching cat videos while I take a shit on TikTok.
Word.
And that's my review of the new Metallica album.
Uh,
It's just like it didn't
uh,
do enough to like pull me out of the constant stream of information.
yep.
Fever Ray though, I keep coming back to it. I think about it. I walked around and felt like connected to it emotionally in the rain, in the dark. So I know there's still great stuff coming out, getting made. Just
Oh
like,
yeah.
well, yeah, all right. Maybe this is how it kind of always was. Metallica was huge in the '90s, and then people are like, yeah, but you haven't listened to Merv, and I'm like, I never even heard of that. What is that? It's like, yeah, they toured with Primus.
And then off it goes.
Yep. All right. You got anything to promote? Any shout outs?
No, not currently.
Um, Gamapaw's getting very close to finally releasing stuff with a human drummer.
What?
And I'm not totally sure when, but it's coming sooner than you think, perhaps. And I'll just leave it at
Nice.
that. Um, I suppose I'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Sounds good. We'll see y'all later.
All right. Ta ta!
Oh boy.
What it is, Dan? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'd do a lot better if you sucked my tongue.
That's not about movies.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting senile. Well, today we are going to be just doing kind of a thing that we'll keep doing over time, which is just going back over the last 2 weeks or so and going over movies that aren't part of an ongoing list we're doing of like directors or, Stephen King movies, which is what we are currently watching a bunch of. So we won't discuss any of them because that's for the ranking lists. This is just going to be us going over everything we've been watching that, yeah, like I was saying, doesn't really have a spot or a place. It's just quick little reviews. So, I don't know. Maybe after trying this, we'll get kind of a sense of how we want to go about it. But another podcast I'm a fan of is the Video Archives with Quentin Tarantino and his one
Hmm.
buddy. I forget his name, but they did an interesting thing at the end of one episode. I honestly always end up not finishing them. So I don't know if they do it every episode, but they were like kind of ranking out of the three movies they watch who had the best cinematography, who was the best actor, kind of like Oscars a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll exactly do that, but I definitely kind of want to like pick our favorite out of these movies that we talk about, and yeah, maybe stuff like best director, standout roles, anything like that.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So we are using my diary on Letterboxd, which you can go check out. Just search Ray J Maraca, Rage Maraca, or Jacob Wayne Briner, and it should come up if you have any interest whatsoever. But we're gonna go back to what we watched on March 22nd, which is The Whale. Those of you who are really into movies probably know that Brendan Fraser won Best Actor for this movie, but the movie itself was not nominated for Director or Best Film. So that's always a little interesting to me when one actor gets talked about so much, but then the movie doesn't really show up in the rest of the Oscars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
so let's kind of get into The Whale. First of all, what did you
yeah.
think about it?
I think the best acting Oscar was deserved. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue all day about the other nominations and who should have won, but I think it was a deserved Oscar. It's not like it was just out of the blue. I genuinely enjoyed the movie, but there were a lot of things that I would have done differently. But, can't review what a movie, what I want the movie to be. We got to review what the movie is. So.
Sure. I think we've discussed that before. You can't judge a movie based on what you were hoping it was going to be or what it was in your head. Like, you got to judge it for what it is. And it's like, there's plenty of movies that I can think of where I didn't necessarily like the direction or that's not where I would have gone, but when you look at the movie itself, it's like, well, this is just objectively good. Like, this is well made, and it's just not where I would have gone, which might, if I was in charge of making it, maybe it would have sucked.
Yeah.
So who knows? But do you have a star rating for it?
Out of 5, I'd say 4. I'd watch it again. I mean, it's definitely not a movie for everybody. It is like oppressively sad.
Yeah. I gave the movie 2.5 out of 5, but I did like it. And that's one thing I like on Letterboxd is that they have those two options, because sometimes I'll give something a half star and I like it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll give it like 4 stars, but I don't like it. And it is kind of interesting how movies can sort of be like that. I kind of base my star rating on just the filmmaking, like the professionalism, the technicalities of all this stuff. Yeah, so it would be easy to go off on this and make this the entire segment for this episode. But Darren Aronofsky, he's kind of the guy at the center of this, like where it's like things that are kind of great and awesome and well done, but then there's very Darren Aronofsky type choices that are always like really weird and don't land right, or they're just like uncomfortable or like almost like borderline silly.
Yeah.
And given that that's I think this is based on a play. And it's all set in Brendan Fraser's character's apartment. And he feels tremendous guilt about abandoning his daughter. And so with the last bit of his life, he's trying to reconnect with his daughter and like let her know that he has money for her and she's going to be taken care of, and try to convince her that she is smart and she's a good writer and she's a good person. And so I think that is like part of what made me roll my eyes, but at the same time, in a weird way, is what I liked about it was every character is so exaggerated. Sadie Sink is like the worst piece of shit daughter you could think of. Brendan Fraser's a saint. Hong Chow, as we learn, is the sister of his dead lover. That's like a nurse and like total enabler.
Yeah, the enabler of the whole situation. Yeah,
the ridiculous alcoholic ex-wife that he left for his gay lover.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the weird. It's almost like it reads like Sunday school morality play at parts, like where it's the pizza guy. Hey, I'm out here. I just want you to know I hope you're okay. Are you okay? It's like, oh, yeah. Well, then he like peeks outside to get his pizza, and then the delivery driver's like, oh my God, disgusting. And I suppose that leads us into, how do you feel about Darren Aronofsky's treatment of being incredibly obese and being fat and how people treat him?
I don't know.
Because that got a lot of heat from people. He thought he was fat shaming and being insensitive, and I think he's definitely fat shaming in this, but I don't know if it's, I don't know, it's exaggerated, so it's kind of, I don't take it that serious.
I don't find it to be realistic, but the way everybody is portrayed isn't very, realistic. They're all kind of exaggerations of characters that you'd, see in real life. So I don't really consider that a bad thing about the movie, but
Well, and I guess it's worth pointing out, if you're ever listening to my podcast, I'm not giving you spoiler warnings. The podcast itself is a spoiler warning. We're just going to talk about it like you've seen it. So, with The Whale, how it ends is the whole thing is, throughout the whole movie, he's been trying to get up, like, of his own volition, and he finally, like, has this big reveal with the daughter, and I'll leave that vague, but he can get up and he starts going towards her, and it's been rainy and dark the whole movie, and then suddenly the light is shining through, like through his daughter's hair, and he starts to almost like elevate or lift, and then it's like credits, The Whale, and it's just so like the concept of a weird floating fat Brendan Fraser. Like, it's so beyond reality that I can't even look at this movie as, like, a serious statement about fatness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think it is about that, really. I think with Darren Aronofsky, he's always playing around with, like, biblical stuff. And, like, philosophy and meaning of life. And I don't even know where I came across it, but somebody was pointing out how Brendan Fraser's almost like Jesus, and then his ex-wife is like the devil, and then the daughter is humanity. And it's like they're fighting over, like, is she a good person? Is she worth saving? Or like, and it's like he got fat for our sins. It's like, it's kind of this weird allegory of the whole thing, and maybe not.
Like, I don't really like the religious, reading of the movie. I mean, you can't really not take it religiously because it's a main, topic.
Yeah.
But if I were to, deconstruct it in a less religious way, I'd just say it's the entire movie's about different ways people self-destruct.
Sure. Yeah.
They're all doing self-destructing in a different manner.
Yeah. And I mean, that does, I guess, if this was made by somebody else, maybe you wouldn't see the religious allegory so much, but it's Darren Aronofsky who did Noah and Mother and all this heavily religious stuff. I mean, I would consider The Fountain sort of religious in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'd be very interested to see the play and see how much was changed.
That is a good point. I wonder how much that reads like that as a play.
Yeah.
But because it's just Darren Aronofsky is like really melodramatic. Like, what's the one? Probably his most famous one, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's like really turned up to the umpteenth level. And I just remember people seeing that and be like, wow, I'll never do a drug again. And to me, when I saw the movie, I was like, that is really good. And it has some great moments, like the fridge chasing the mom. But then I was like, but at the same time, it's so exaggerated that it almost comes off like a Dare commercial. Like, this is exaggerated. This isn't reality, so I can't take it too seriously. And I think it's the same with The Whale. Like, I was always on the edge of laughing at it. But I did think it was pretty good, and at times the melodrama really worked. Yeah. And so I don't know. As with a lot of Darren Aronofsky films, that's why I think I'm at 2.5. I'm like right down the middle. I kind of hate half of it and love half of it. And I do think about it. I found myself thinking about it for like weeks on end, which is one of my major criteria for film, is how much am I thinking about it after I actually watch it.
Yeah. I think solely based on the acting performances alone, everybody did fantastic. I mean, it deserves at least 2 stars just for that. And then anything else you liked about it, I would, bump that up further. So I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe I'm overrating it, but
I don't know. I mean, you rate it how you like. I was having that discussion with you the other day, and maybe that's the thing we could figure out on a podcast episode. But like, what is each star? Like, what earns it a star? I kind of like that. It's like 1 star is the acting good? The next one, how's the cinematography, the camera work? Another one's the music, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting, but Hong Chau's worth the shout out. She's great.
Oh yeah, she did great. So good.
If you don't know her, she was in The Menu recently and The Whale, and was also one of the antagonists in HBO's Watchmen series. Like, she's really great. And I kind of, I'm drawn to her in just about everything she's in. She's just a really awesome up and comer. So she's worth mentioning. I think Sadie Sink was really good too, but the character's written ridiculously. So I fucking hated her, but that's probably because she's doing, she's doing a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this is always fun to me, is to go down to the Letterboxd and like try to find a really positive review that's short, hopefully, and a low one. This is by Matt Lynch. He gave it 1.5 stars, and he said, "Sure could go for a pizza right about now, though." That was true. That dramatic pizza eating in the one scene. The music is all intense, like, oh. That was pretty. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I know I'm supposed to be feeling for this guy, but I just kind of want to laugh.
Well, it's because it was so over the top, it almost became satire. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
One person, Tyler, gave it 4 stars. Brendan Fraser, we will get you that Oscar. And that seems to be what anybody who gives it 5 stars, I think it hinges heavily on Brendan Fraser's performance.
Of course, yeah.
So
I don't know if it's, judged just based on the movie. It's based on Brendan Fraser and his history and all of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose we should move on from there. Let's go to Robot in the Family real quick.
Okay.
What'd you think of Robot in the Family? That's one I forced on you and our friends.
Well, it was horrible. I think that was kind of the point, though, watching it.
Yeah, it was like pure madness. I don't think we got to spend a ton of time on this one. Yeah. It's like oddly racial without being racial at all. Well, I can't say that it wasn't racial at all. It was really racial, but
yeah.
But the whole way it's functioning and playing out in the plot, like, it almost has nothing to do with the weird stereotypes it's making.
Yeah.
And, like, the robot is essentially, like, a Jewish person. And and it's, like, created by a Middle Eastern, like, maybe Palestinian family or something. So I'll just leave it at that. But it's what I learned about it from Red Letter Media, who they have a show called Best of the Worst, and they watch a lot of terrible films. And just them reacting to it and seeing clips, I was like, oh, I have to watch this. And I think somebody will probably quote it here in the reviews. I'll see if I can find it in a second here. But I don't know. Why don't you elaborate on that while I look that up real quick? What was your impression of it?
It seemed like a guy got a modest amount of money and wanted to make a movie and had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was entertaining, I guess, but it was completely ridiculous. And I don't know if it was even intended to be taken seriously or not. Like, it was hard to tell. He had some big names in it too. John Rhys Davis, the Gimli, is what you'd know him from.
Yeah.
Who else was in that?
Joe Pantoliano, who, if you don't recognize the name, is Joey Pants from Sopranos, or the guy who wants the steak in The Matrix.
Yeah. Or Memento, Teddy in Memento.
Right. Yeah. which I'll read this review right here. There's no star rating. It's just somebody's review of it, I guess. Carlo V. He says, Joey Pants as Borat makes a robot called Gold Digger who has a giant traffic light on his chest. Red, you're in danger, please scream. Yellow, you found gold. Green, thank you for screaming. A pee-pee soaked heck hole of a movie. Please don't watch this.
Well, I don't agree with don't watch this.
Yeah.
I think you should watch it. It's just, know what you're getting into.
But I think that's what it is that's what I was getting into and then got distracted trying to find that quote. But to paraphrase, the quote is like, it's a roller coaster into losing your mind. Like,
Yep.
It does feel very like fever dream, and
Very
it's
disjointed.
Like,
and,
yeah, it makes The Room seem like pretty regular, like standard daytime TV or something.
Yeah.
And I think you need these types of movies like to be something you've watched because it gives you a barometer for how bad or how crazy things can get. Like,
yeah,
if you think a plot's bad in a certain movie, then you could watch another movie like this and be like, oh, holy shit, like that Disney movie we watched is like The Godfather compared to Robot in the Family, like. And it's that's kind of what I like about it, is it really does, like, you feel like your heart racing because it's just, you feel like you're maybe going insane watching it. And it's, I mean, at times it's hilarious. I think it's like the one scene where all the taxi drivers get in a fight and he like just shows up and starts electrocuting them, like, it's just like, oh,
it's very slapstick.
Yeah,
very slapstick.
What do you? What would you say the moral of the story was?
I couldn't tell you. I don't think I could even tell you the plot of the movie entirely accurately.
Joey Pants' Borat makes a robot to help find gold. The robot just goes off and finds like an antique store.
But the antique store owner is like into like some shady business practices, and he's like trying to steal, what is it, a helmet?
Yeah, like some ancient Egyptian
artifact
thing, or like, and the robot wants it because gold. I don't know. I think that's all we got. So this is the one. This is the half star, but I liked it movie that I mentioned earlier.
I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I did enjoy myself while watching it. I don't think I'd enjoy myself if I was watching it alone, though. It's definitely like a group watch.
Yeah,
hey, let's riff on this movie kind of thing.
I'll read one more, actually two more reviews of this, and then we'll move on. Sorry, I actually got to read three. All right, so this one's a half star. This one says, every family needs a robot, and every robot needs a family. Gandhi. That was a review left by Dan. A review left by Timony, another half star, is just, I hate movies. And then Tony Takitani, another half star, says, Uncut Gems wishes it was this much of an anxiety-inducing heart attack of a movie. I would agree.
Pretty accurate.
Uncut Gems would be a funny double feature with Robot in the Family.
Yeah, that or Bicentennial Man.
Right, yeah. We need to watch that movie soon, by the way. All right, let's get moving along here, because we are getting past our usual movie time with their buddy. Maybe
Arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah. It's hard for me to say anything bad about this movie. It's kind of a perfect movie to me.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's one of the reasons I say that is because it jumps from all these different genres, like, really seamlessly. Like, it can be really funny, and then it's like oh, it's just people in this town and how they get along, and they're the outsider and how he deals with the country town. And but then spiders, it's a little horror, a little almost sci-fi with like the spider knowledge.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, I don't know how much any of that holds up. I don't think a lot of it, but just the idea of this spider that behaves like ants or bees, like they have a hive and a queen and a king, and they're poisonous, and this is like one little bite will fucking just kill you immediately. Like, awesome. I'm in. Like, as a little kid, like, what would be cooler than, like, holy shit, like, this hive of spiders, and it's like, they're super aggressive, and they can jump at you, and apparently they can screech and squeal and hiss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and John Goodman.
Yeah. John Goodman, Jeff Daniels, both great.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels is awesome in this movie. He's just such a lovable protagonist. Like him just being this bumbling doctor who's afraid of spiders. Like, that's the other thing that makes it so good, is I think it really delivers its information well. Like, there's exposition, but it never feels like really ham-fisted, and you learn easily that Jeff is an arachnophobe. Like, just by little things, like just coming across one in his living room, and he's like, and just how he reacts. And then the wife taking him out to the barn, he's like, I think you should look at this web because you're scared of spiders. It'll help, but it helps establish that she was up there taking photos of it. And so she has a photo of it later in her office, or in his office, because it's like, hey, these are pictures of our house. And so when the professor shows up, he's like, I recognize that web because I've been studying these things. Where is that? And it's like, it's at the doctor's house. And it's all, yeah. You're like, oh, that's a great way to reveal that. Or like what to do next to try to figure out the spider situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You got anything else on that one?
No, not really. Good horror comedy drama. Yeah.
This one person. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
It's it's not like watching The Exorcist or something. It's definitely got intentional comedic elements. Pretty heavy in there, but yeah.
One person gave it 2.5 stars, so I already don't like this person. I just won't say their name. It says, I wouldn't have known what arachnophobia meant if it wasn't for this film. At least no spiders were harmed in the making, so that's a positive of this movie. Yeah, fuck this person. Like,
that's a terrible review.
Yeah, it's like you wouldn't have known what the word arachnophobia meant if it wasn't for a movie called Arachnophobia. I guess books or dictionaries, the internet, just nothing. I don't know. Everything else is like 5 stars, 4 stars, 4.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that, I don't even know what they're getting at there. And yeah, one interesting little factoid of it is the spiders they used are pretty big. They're the huntsman spiders from Australia. And all apparently pretty docile and like non-aggressive, but they are huge, so they scare the shit out of people. But yeah, they kind of would film them and direct them by using like, various fans and stuff. Like they'd blow a little bit of a fan at them to get them to move a certain direction.
I wonder how long it took them to figure that out. Like,
yeah.
How to like shoo them along. Like, how do you direct a spider?
It's got to be about as like awful as directing puppets like in Team America. Just like, oh my god, like how do you get the hand to just lift the right way? Like, oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. When a movie's just awesome, I don't know. Just watch it.
Yeah.
That's a 5-star movie for me. I'm pretty generous with my 5-star movies. Like, The Godfather's a 5-star movie. Arachnophobia is a 5-star movie to me. They're 5 stars in a different way from each other, and I think you can pick up what I'm throwing down.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Directed by Frank Marshall. He also did another one that definitely isn't as good as Arachnophobia, but I love it. Congo.
Yeah.
Everything else, I don't know if I've seen anything else from him. Maybe Congo ended his career.
It looks like he does a lot of producing on things you've definitely heard of, but like he produced like Signs and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he looks like he's mainly a producer.
So it's almost like if Kathleen Kennedy, who Star Wars fans love, it's like if she just went off and made a weird spider movie, like a Scorpion movie or something.
Yeah, basically.
All right. I'm gonna check in with our buddy and see if he needs us to start a movie soonish. But while I do that, I'll have you introduce the next movie and discuss it a little bit. Why don't you get into Inner Space? First off, what would you rank it?
Inner Space.
Yeah.
I didn't really love this movie. Like, I mean, I enjoyed watching it. It's a movie about shrinking down into basically shrinking technology, shrinking down into a.
Let me cut you off right there.
Yeah.
It's a movie about putting Dennis Quaid inside Martin Short.
Okay, yeah, that's basically
with
it.
Meg Ryan being adorable around Martin Short with Dennis Quaid inside of him.
Yeah, Meg Ryan's definitely doing her Meg Ryan thing.
What's the movie it's like? It's going inside a body in a little tiny ship.
Fantastic Voyage.
Right.
But Fantastic Voyage played it very seriously. Inner Space plays it more comedically, for sure.
Well, yeah. It's directed by Joe Dante, who did Gremlins, Gremlins 2, The Burbs, Small Soldiers. Let's see. Piranha.
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone, the movie. Like, The Howling, actually kind of low-key, pretty great movie. But there's a couple others I'd like to see from him, but he's very much like comedic, almost like comic booky, and I don't mean like MCU type stuff like nowadays, but like just like cartoonish comic book, silly slapstick sci-fi horror.
Yep.
And it doesn't work as well as Gremlins. Like Gremlins to me is like kind of a perfect movie.
Yep.
Similar to Arachnophobia. But Inner Space, I give it a 5-star rating because I do have a very soft spot for it. And the reason I give it a 5-star rating is the little side stuff. Like, it isn't really the Martin Short, Dennis Quaid stuff as much. Like, I actually kind of find Martin Short a little insufferable. And a lot of stuff he's in.
Hypochondriac Martin Short, yeah.
I'm gonna drop it half a star because it isn't that great. But what I do love is like the assassin that has like the gun finger.
Oh yeah, the side plots. So,
like all the side characters, like the cowboy assassin, who's just an asshole,
and the gangster that only wears white.
Yeah. Oh yeah, what was his name? Can't think of it.
Victor Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw, yeah.
Scrimshaw.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, then they get shrunk down to half size, so they're like chasing after him Like it's these shrunken versions of themselves, and like Dennis Quaid has the technology apparently to like alter Martin Short's face to like look like the cowboy. And there's like some great kind of facial gag stuff, and like it's the insanity of all that stuff and like the music, the 80s-ness of it, like that really puts it over the edge for me. I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, the fucking what is his name? The Gunfinger guy. He Mr. Nemo or something? Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I forget.
But he gets put in like a tiny little ship to go inside to fight Dennis Quaid inside Martin
Yeah,
Short.
like a mech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just has this look on his face the whole time, like he's just getting completely off from drilling into Dennis Quaid's ship. Like, yeah. And it's just like, it's absurd. The whole movie's kind of insane to me. And that's why I love it. But
Yeah.
acting is corny, hammy, cheesy. Jokes don't land as much as they probably did back when it came out.
Yeah.
It's very Dennis Quaid being very Dennis Quaid, and Martin Short being very Martin Short. Meg Ryan being very Meg Ryan.
Well, she always is.
Sure. Yeah, I was like, what is a subdued Meg Ryan role? I don't know if I've seen one. Maybe like In the Cut, like when her face got all messed up, she got older.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. You got anything else on this one?
No, it very much is just like it's a silly, adventure that it's entertaining. I enjoyed watching it, but I don't think it stands up to time.
That's fair. Probably one of those had to see it when it came out kind of things for it to stick.
Yeah, for sure.
Seems like it's a lot of 3.5 stars from people.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I'd probably give it a little less, but that's about right.
3-star review was Martin Short screams for 2 hours.
Accurate.
Another 3-star one is silly screwball sci-fi that prominently features Sam Cooke songs and has one of the coolest title sequences opening shots ever. It does have a good
I don't remember the title.
It is pretty sweet.
Ones.
But yeah, it's just kind of 80s shit. Like, there's a lot of movies with very similar openings. Yeah, let's move along real quick. I need to see what our friend's response was to that message. And maybe we'll just finish with this next one, and then next time we do this, we'll do the next week.
Okay.
So American Rickshaw. This is another best of the worst watch from Red Letter Media that I saw clips and I was like, I have to watch this. Has awesome cat action and kind of kung fu mixed with 80s Florida, Miami stuff. Like very...
Yeah.
It's like a movie that seems created by cocaine. Like, not even by people. Cocaine made this movie. And just, like, somehow it released into the theaters. What did you rank this movie?
As far as enjoyment or as far as quality?
However you want to go about it.
Quality, 0.5 star. Enjoyment, 5 stars.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching this piece of garbage.
I will push back just a little bit on that. I gave it 4.5 stars. I think it's a beautifully shot film in a very terrible way. Like it's like just like delicious bad movie.
Yeah.
Like the best deep fried Twinkie you've ever eaten. It's not good for you, but it's just like I love like some of the camera choices in it, like the imagery, character design, creature design, like the way they shoot the fucking cat and the cobra stuff, and then the old Chinese like ethereal goddess, whatever she is, like goddess of time or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, the plot doesn't make any sense. This is another one that is kind of like a fever dream. But like um where Robot in the Family makes you feel like you're going insane, American Rickshaw, it's like seems like a really awesome fever dream you had that's like sort of beautiful, and it's directed by an Italian.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
And
I don't know.
mm,
So
you got
I
a reverend that turns into a pig demon. That's
uh
fantastic. I mean,
yeah, when he's giving the speech to these like old fucks down in Florida to like grift
yeah.
their money, like he's totally Trump,
Mhm.
and he's just like like just starts to involuntarily making pig noises because he's transforming, and he's like freaking out in front of him, and I don't know why, like it actually made me curious about like Japanese mythology or Chinese mythology, in the
Yeah.
sense that when he comes to like essentially rape the Chinese time goddess, he takes off the pig mask and then he has makeup on and he looks like a Ninja Turtle. Like, what? Is that a thing? Like, something that looks like a Ninja Turtle? Is that what people that made Ninja Turtles? It's like, oh, they kind of look like turtles. Well, this old mythical thing. Like, I'm wondering what made them do that. Because I can't
Mm.
think of anything else it looks like other than, oh, holy shit, Raphael's coming after this lady. But it's like fat old white privilege Raphael.
Yep.
It's so
It looks
weird.
like it was written by a bunch of Italians.
Yeah, it was definitely directed by one. Sergio Martino, I
Yeah,
think, has more
yeah,
well-known
he's
films.
credited as a writer along with two other very Italian sounding names, but I mean, I guess I don't know. I would assume so since the director's also Italian.
Well, I see he also worked on a movie called Love Spaghetti, and the poster of that is just a sexy lady over the lap of a man and eating a bowl of spaghetti off of her back. So if that's not Italian, I don't know what is. I mean, man, I might have to watch some more of this guy's movies. Um, I don't know. Like, this is definitely what we've so kind of gotten into the so bad they're good movies. Some recommended by Red Letter Media. Our buddy Neil brings in a lot of Disney Channel comedies. Um, and you know, then we kind of grab some from around. Like one we'll get to, I guess, in a future episode is Thunderpants.
Yep. No.
Um, but out of all these types of movies, like low budget, so bad they're good, like what the hell is that? This is one of my favorites.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the most watchable out of all of these that we've watched. The so bad they're good flavor of movies we watch.
And for how incoherent it was, and like technically slow, like they needed the letter written by the old Chinese woman thanking the main character, who's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
he just fights with everybody. And oh yeah, we haven't even talked about that. He's a rickshaw runner guy. Like
Yep.
carries the rickshaws
Hence the
around.
name.
And
Yeah.
there's like this like gang of, I don't know, like gay Miami men from the 80s that run this rickshaw company, like
Pretty much. Yeah.
the rickshaw gang, and it just like know how
Rickshaw
to fight
boys.
and stuff, and maybe they don't. Maybe I'm mixing that up with Miami Connection, but at least the main character does. But yeah, anyway, the letter that she writes him to thank him for like giving her a rickshaw ride when during a rainy day. Like he keeps losing the letter or like half reading it and then just kind of putting it down and then wandering up into his apartment, and you're like, no, like read the letter. We need to know what's going on in the movie. Like he's like, maybe later. Like falls in a puddle. Like gets ignored, like, and we need to know what's in that letter to keep moving forward, but he's just taking his own sweet time fighting with his roommate. Or this is another one that has kind of a funny assassin dude
Yep.
who's working for the bad guy, like, kind of comes in and terrorizes his roommate. And man, but yeah, for how slowly it gets to the point and how weird it is and how much it doesn't make sense, it's very watchable.
Yep.
Whereas, like, man, we've been going through some of these Stephen King movies, and like some of them, I'm like, man, this just drags on.
Yeah.
And it's like the same length. It's like about an hour and 29 minutes, hour and a half.
Yep. Hour 33 is American Rickshaw. Yeah.
And I feel like we might have talked about that in an episode before, but I think one of the most recent films that like really pissed me off just in terms of how boring it was that Edgar Allan Poe one with Christian Bale on Netflix, like
Yeah.
Pale Blue
I never
Eye
saw that one
or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great acting, interesting premise, beautiful set design, beautiful cinematography, and I just want to pluck my own eyes out with how fucking boring it was. And then by the time you get to the end, it's just like there's no like that's the ugh, like you get so mad when a movie like wastes your time like that. At least for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's so then yeah, you get into these 5-star rating things and it's like I don't know. American Rickshaw's 4.5 stars for me. It entertained the fuck out of me. I love some of the imagery in it. Like some of it's like I don't know if I've ever seen that anywhere but this movie. This is great. And yet I know that the Pale Blue Eye or whatever that Christian Bale one is a technically a better movie.
Yeah.
But I gotta
Just
give it a lower
more boring.
ranking.
Yeah.
I guess
This
that's
one is, yeah, American Rickshaw. You definitely could not call it boring. That's for sure.
No. What was one of the most boring, so bad they're good movies we've watched? Can you think of one off the top of your head?
Oh, I don't know.
Like it was kind of good, but also like,
Suburban Sasquatch was really rough for me.
That might have just been because I got a little too drunk for that viewing. It was cackling. I think we recorded it to post it, and I was like, "Ooh, I was on one for that watch along." But that's just because that movie's so ridiculous to me. I love Suburban Sasquatch, but it is, yeah, by no means a good movie. Yeah, in any stretch of the imagination. I mean, what was that one with like the kid that got bullied and then he came back as like kind of a Freddy Krueger apparition thing, like on April Fools, and like murdered the high school kids that like did that to him?
I don't remember that one.
Did you not? Did you maybe not watch that with us? I think you did.
Possible. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll try to find it real quick. But any last thoughts on movies, this and that? Anything new coming out that you're excited about? Anything about these movies worth mentioning?
No. New movies that I kind of want to see is John Wick 4, obviously. I haven't seen that one yet. And the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which last time they tried a Dungeons and Dragons movie did not go well, but this one appears to be being reviewed pretty well. So that'll be interesting.
We should maybe watch that old one before the new one on
we should,
the So Bad It's Good type nights. Because I've seen some footage from the old one, and yeah, holy shit.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah. Are we going to watch Avatar 2? I don't know if I want to.
I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care.
I mean, I'm not opposed to watching it, but I just
Maybe we'll
I
watch it in
really don't
segments.
care.
Because they really lose me with it. It's over 3 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God. Like, I probably would have checked it out if it was an hour and a half. I'm like, all right, yeah. See what this new visual technology is. But,
Yeah, there's not many movies I'll give more than 3 hours, unless it's like a Scorsese or something. I'm not giving
sure.
3 hours of my time to.
Irishman, I was like, yep, let's go. Boom. I'm in. Um, there's this Beau is Afraid from Ari Aster. Are you going to try to see that in theaters, or are you going to wait for it to come out as a rental?
I mean, I usually wait for most things to come out as rental, but we'll see.
I wanted to go see it in theaters, but I'm a broke boy lately, and I'm like, I don't know if I can justify
Yeah.
going to that one. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to it. I liked his last two movies, Hereditary and Midsommar.
Hmm.
I think I need to watch a couple movies that you're not going to be into. Air. That's like Ben Affleck and what's his face is about selling the Nike deal to Michael Jordan.
That actually sounds more interesting. I mean, I'm
Okay.
usually not into sports movies, but this is like sports business, which I could get into.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of like Moneyball, I think,
yeah.
is the idea. And then there's this one about what's a little more serious with Adam Sandler as a coach for basketball or something. Like, yeah, it's kind of the sports movies that I'm like, I don't know if Dan wants to watch them, but
Yeah.
I do need to get to them. But yeah, beyond that, there's no movie news I can think of worth mentioning. And that's pretty good over that. So to wrap things up, out of that week, let's say that was a week. If we're off a little bit, whatever. We'll be more specific about it in the future. Out of the
Hmm.
movies we reviewed today, what was your favorite movie?
Um, Either Arachnophobia or The Whale. Arachnophobia, I'd watch again more frequently, so I'd probably say that one wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Arachnophobia and American Rickshaw. I might come back to American Rickshaw every now and again. Um, yeah, best directed out of all those movies. Let's just go with that one.
Hmm. Jeez. I don't know. Why don't you go first for that one?
I'm just gonna go with Arachnophobia.
I mean, that's probably fair. Um, yeah, yeah, I'd probably say that too.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
And favorite character or performance?
Oh, Brendan Fraser in The Whale for favorite or best? Best
Fa-
acting, Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Favorite performance would be Arachnophobia, John Goodman.
Correct. You are correct, sir. And that is my favorite. Is definitely John Goodman. Yeah, Brendan Fraser's probably the best acted out of
Yep.
all of them. And just because I'm into music, and this is sort of a music podcast too, your favorite score? I'm gonna go with Arachnophobia again.
Yeah. Um, Trying to think if any of the others had very notable scores.
The Whale had some pretty dramatic stuff going on.
Yeah, it it did, but
Not
it's
memorable.
kind of generic for a drama movie. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just was nothing terribly notable about it, I guess. Yeah, probably Arachnophobia.
That's how good Arachnophobia's music is, because I would normally be a sucker for what was going on in Inner Space and American Rickshaw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just Arachnophobia is that good. The boom, the John Goodman theme, like that's been coming up in other movies we're watching. But yeah, anyway, I think we'll leave it there unless you got anything else.
No, I think that's it.
All right, then I will catch you next time, buddy. You have a good one.
Yep.
Ta-ta! Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fakoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the